Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome to this week's Mental Monday. Before we get into all of the Mental Monday videos I want to do that talk about the holidays and the end of the year and starting the new year right and all of that, I wanted to finally finish the abuse series I started. This is the last video in that. It's the toughest one, and I am going to be talking about sexual abuse. So if that is a trigger for you at all, if that is something that you just don't want to hear about or you can't handle hearing about or you don't feel like is right for you to listen to, absolutely click out. That's why I give this warning now. So now we will be jumping in. I've talked about physical abuse, mental abuse, and the final abuse category really is sexual abuse. Sexual abuse is basically anything that has to do with sex and sexuality and sexual acts and sexual harassment and sexual manipulation and everything like that. There's a little bit of a specific caveat with this because there are other instances that I would say could count underneath this. But the key with abuse is that it's a pattern. So all of those things happening in a pattern, happening in a consistent manner over a period of time, not just one instance of that thing or one of those things. So to give my own little kind of quick definition of sexual abuse, it is sexual manipulation, sexual harassment, taking advantage of somebody sexually over a period of time. Several instances over a period of time, creating a pattern and a history of that happening. So this can be in any relationship. The biggest way you hear it talked about is child sexual abuse, where an adult is sexually taking advantage of a child and sexually abusing a child by forcing themselves on them, performing sexual acts with them, exposing themselves to them, things like that. And it's happening within that relationship over a period of time. This can be parent to child. This can be a different relative to child. This can be somebody not related but close to the family. That is not uncommon at all. And I do want to say the bulk of sexual abusers, if not all sexual abusers, is somebody that the child knows, is somebody that is in the child's life on a regular basis. It is not strangers. It is not acquaintances. It is somebody the child knows. And that child has a trust with them. That child has a relationship with them in whatever capacity. And the adult in that situation takes the advantage of their authority and their power of position over the child to manipulate them and get that to happen, get them to acquiesce to whatever they say, get them to keep quiet and not tell anybody. It's not uncommon to have them threaten to hurt their family if they tell. There are various ways that abusers keep victims compliant. None of those are uncommon. That's the gist of what it is. There are a lot of different circumstances that can pop up, so I don't want to go too far into detail just because there's so many variances and so much ability to have this be a unique experience as far as what specifically happened to you and what your story was. I don't have a story of any of these abuses, but I've known people that have. I've been very close to people that have. So I've gotten to hear their stories and see how it has impacted their lives today, this far after, because we're talking decades after. And you're still seeing the impact, you're still seeing the after effects And this is why it needs to be so seriously taken. Some of the effects that come with sexual abuse are, again, very unique to the person, but these are some of the really common ones. One is inability to trust, just like most abuses, but specifically with this one, you feel very taken advantage of. You feel very like your trust was broken and that people that you thought loved you will hurt you. And in a very vulnerable, sensitive way. So that is a huge one. Inability to trust and skepticism with other people, where you don't want to try trusting again. You also get a lot of PTSD, where there are a lot of triggers that happen that bring you back to that point, that bring out those same feelings again and remind you of how it felt. There is PTSD connected to certain sexual acts. If there are specific acts happening, more than likely a partner later on down the road is going to find out that you're not comfortable with that anymore. And that is not something that you can handle. That is not something you want to do. And you have to have those discussions. And it's best to have those discussions beforehand rather than having something happen and them not being prepared, them not knowing how to process what you're going through, how to understand it. So that is an important thing to think about. Whether you are somebody that's been abused or somebody that is close to somebody that's been abused, these are things they're going through. These are things that you would want to be sensitive to. It can also look like over-sexualized too early. So those kids can know a lot about sex before you would expect them to. It can mature them beyond their years sexually and mentally, developmentally. They're having to deal with things they should not have to deal with at that age, that they shouldn't even have to be attempting to understand or process at that age. And that is another thing that is good to understand if you're close to somebody that has gone through it, or if you're somebody that has gone through it yourself, understanding that about you and how that has impacted you. So I am going to put resources, like I always try to do, in the description of this video. I will put the safety assessment like I did in the last abuse video, and I will also put some resources for sexual abuse and sexual abuse survivors and all of that. I just really hope that you guys feel encouraged and empowered from this series and take away a little something that can make a difference. I'm super passionate about getting good resources in the hands of people that need it. So while I am not the end-all be-all, I am not the consummate professional, I am not the total expert, I hope this helped you. And I hope it leaves you feeling empowered and with steps to move forward. So I will leave all of that in the description, and I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Monday. It is Cyber Monday, so if you are Cyber Monday shopping, I would love it if you would check out my oils Instagram that's linked in the description. I would love it if you would check out our 3D printing shop and 3D printing Facebook page that's in the description. And just enjoy all the awesome deals before midnight tonight. If you enjoyed this and it helped you, give it a thumbs up and share it with those that could benefit from it. Make sure you're subscribed if you would like to see more, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Bye!